Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Alolan Sandslash. So Alolan Sandslash becomes an Ice Steel typing, and this is one wild ride of a typing. So we got quite a few neutral hits, and then we get into 3 weaknesses, but fighting 4 times super effective, fire 4 times super effective, and then a regular weakness to ground. So pretty much we just need to avoid all those weaknesses altogether, but for that we pick up an immunity to poison and then a lot of resistances: normal, flying, bug, grass, psychic, ice, dragon, and fairy. So that's just the steel typing on top of that ice right there, since ice only resists ice. Looking at it offensively, we get a good amount of coverage. Like, we can see that our super effective hits from the ice and steel are going to be pretty solid right there, but at the same time we're going to be resisted by a ton of typings. Fire, steel, and water are going to resist both of our attacks. So that could be problematic right there. And then ice and electric as just regular resistances. So now it's time to go and look at the stat changes for the Alolan Sandslash, and there wasn't much. So Alolan Sandslash did get a nice bit of tuning, that it lost 20 points on the special attack, and then that went into the special defense and the defense. So no changes to speed, no changes to attack, just 20 points off the special attack and then split into its defenses, thus making Alolan Sandslash a little tankier with that ice steel. So Alolan forms are kind of weird to talk about and get into. But let's go on over to Cerebi and look a bit more into what the Sandslash is going to do. And we have Snow Cloak and Slush Rush. So we're only going to have an ability if Hail is active, and Slush Rush seems to be the better choice. Doubles Pokemon speed when Hail is in effect. Even with a 65 speed, doubling it will be doable. So now let's go and check out what we get access to, because as an Ice-type Pokemon, Ice-type Stab is fairly powerful against a lot of different typings, and paired with Steel, we coverage out against other things like Fairy-type Pokemon, Rock-type Pokemon, so we get a good amount of coverage overall, and really what we get is Icicle Crash, Gyro Ball. Let's skip through the regular Sandslash, and then we can see that we still get access to the Earthquake with our Alolan form. So Earthquake right here, boom, we see the Alolan Sandslash, so we're good to go. And also, we do get Leech Life for the Alolan Sandslash, so that's a possibility. Like, this Pokemon has no sustain, but this is a way of giving us some sustain right here if we are going to be looking for that. We do get access to the Swords Dance, and then there's our Gyro Ball. So that's kind of it. We Gyro Ball, we Icicle Crash, we go for coverage, and then we see what happens. Now, when it boils down to the egg moves, there's a lot of egg moves right here, and Curse Amnesia might be something to look into on the Sandslash. Problem about setup on the Sandslash is that nothing's really feeling threatened by a 100 attack move, and since our Stab is going to be resisted by something like the Fire, you just bring in a Fire-type Pokemon, or they just bring in a Fighting-type Pokemon. So no matter how much setup you have on the Sandslash, they're just going to go and muscle you out of whatever you're trying to do. So that could be a little bit of a problem right there. Then we see pre-evolutionary moves. Not really going to get much else except for the Iron Head. Now, I was initially talking about Gyro Ball, but I think we're going to have to go and shift our focus, because Iron Head is going to be a better option, even if we have Brave Nature. So we're cutting down the speed. 0 IV, Brave Nature Pokemon, using that Gyro Ball, well, we don't get more damage on the opponent until they have a 130 speed or higher. And even 130 speed are taking the same out from an Iron Head. Just kind of showing, if you see Gyro Ball as a recommended moveset, or someone using Gyro Ball, Iron Head is just going to be better in 99% of these situations that the Sandslash is going to find itself in. So now let's go over into Pokemon Showdown and just kind of look at what we're doing right here. So Slush Rush going to be the option, which means Hail or double battles. So Protect if you're setting a Pokemon with Hail manually, or if you have a Snow Warning Pokemon, Protect is just good to have in doubles anyway, but if you are getting that speed initially, then you just rush it, you know, you get that Life Orb damage, you go for the Brick Break, you go for the Icicle Crash, you go for the Iron Head, and then you just slam it down. Now, the reason why I have Brick Break here is because if we're running the Earthquake, well, that has a chance of hitting our ally, and if it's a Snow Warning Pokemon, then it's not really going to work out with, like, Levitate or anything like that. And also, if the opponent just happens to go for some kind of screens, it's just nice running that fighting coverage and then holding on to the Brick Break right there. Other than that, Icicle Crash, stab damage, look for coverage. Iron Head, stab damage, look for coverage. And the problems with Icicle Crash and Iron Head is that's a 100 attack Pokemon with a Life Orb using low base power moves, because 80-ish is on like that lower end of just average damaging moves, so that's not going to be super insane right there. Other things we can do with the Sandslash, if we're looking in single battles, or even doubles as well, if we're not like going for the Hail, we can still run an Assault Vest pretty well. That Assault Vest just complements our stats. That we have 120 on defense, 65 on special defense, so it's just an easy max out hit points, max out the attack, and then go Adamant Nature and just do tons of damage like that. So this is going to mostly be for coverage and tech and utility because we have Earthquake, so that's a nice little hit right there. Icicle Crash, Iron Head, we're finding a surprising amount of super effective hits, which is also why I have a type calculator right here. So it just kind of shows that Sandslash is complex, like very complex, and we're going to get into some more shenanigans. So Ice Steel, it does alright. If we add ground into that, we're going to be doing pretty good, and then like the rest of the coverage is up to you. Normal, that's not really going to change much. It doesn't add us any super effective hits, and a neutral hit with the low base power of Rapid Spin doesn't really matter. So pretty much Ice Steel Ground is going to look like something like this. We will be resisted by the Arachnid and the Golisopod, so just Bug Water, that's the only thing we kind of have to worry about. Other than that, we're finding a lot of super effective hits. Now, what we could do is we could get rid of the Rapid Spin, but I feel that Sandslash, if you really need a good spin Pokemon to try to get rid of the opponent's entry hazards, Sandslash does alright. Like, I don't see too many Pokemon that do its job better in like a super excelling way. If you just want a bulky Pokemon, returns a good amount of coverage, has the Rapid Spin as an option, that's what you can run on the Sandslash. So some usability right there, but you can also just add some other moves. So going from what we saw earlier, the Leech Life, that's going to give us 626 on those super effective hits. The Rocks, so we can go with Stone Edge, that's actually going to cut us down to less super effective hits. So it's kind of showing that even if we have something else, the Poison, not going to be too much because we have Steel and Poison crossing over right there. We have Fighting, so it's either going to be Fighting for an insane amount of super effective hits, still getting issues against those Bug Water Pokemon, or we can also just go for Bug, a little bit of Sustain, and then also going to add on to a crazy amount of super effective hits as well with this coverage. So that's kind of what we're looking into with the Sandslash, and then that shows that if we want to run Sandslash in other ways, Curse is a solid option. Now we can't run it with the Assault Vest, but then we'd get rid of something, we'd put the Curse in here. And if we're running Curse, then I strongly recommend the Leech Life. Problem, non-stab, 80 base power move, even after 2 Curses with 100 attack, we're going to be getting small amount of hit points back. So it's kind of like looking for those very specific super effective hits, and I guess it works against Dark-type Pokemon pretty well, because with a Dark-type Pokemon, it's going to be able to hit you neutrally, at least you can Leech Life against it for some super effective damage, grab some health back. I'm not saying, like, you must run the Leech Life. It's an option, and it can kind of work, but again, if your opponent sees a Curse, then it's like, well, I just go into my Fire-type attack Pokemon, hit you with a Flamethrower, not much you can do about that, and the Leech Life doesn't help against Fire-type Pokemon as well. Now, a big issue I see with the Sandslash is that it falls short of Avalugg in almost every way. That 95 hit points into the 86 on the special defense means that Avalugg is going to get hit by special attacks a little harder, but it doesn't have to worry about that 4 times weakness to the fire. It can tank up a Flamethrower depending on the Pokemon that you're going up against. Also has different abilities. You know, you can use that own tempo instead of having to be reliant on the hail like Sandslash is. And we have Recovery. We don't have to worry about some weird boosting into Leech Life. We just straight up use Recover. I think that's a big problem with a Sandslash, that we just don't have it, that we can rest. But Chesto Resto, not super reliable. And we also get the Avalanche. So as a slow Pokemon, we're going to be taking that hit, and then Avalanche power doubles if damaged by the target. So we're getting more damage than our Icicle Crash, and for some reason Sandslash doesn't have it. Like if Sandslash, small little change, just a tiny little change, if it had Avalanche, it would be a much, much stronger Pokemon, because that's going to be 50% more damage just right there compared to the Icicle Crash. And then that means the Life Orb means something, but then we're not being able to use it with that Slush Rush, so we can Snow Cloak and Hail, get that chance for evasion. It could go a little differently. Also, with that Avalanche, then we can run something like the, is it Icy Plate? I don't know. Whatever plate works with Icicle Plate. So we have Icicle Plate, Avalanche, that could do something, but we don't have that. And then Avalugg, it's just a higher damaging Pokemon with better defenses, sustain, and it can also still Rapid Spin with less weaknesses. So that's why I don't have as much faith in the Sandslash as I do with the Avalugg, because pretty much any way that you run the Avalugg, or any way you can run Sandslash, you can run it like Avalugg. That, okay, you get rid of the Recover, and then you run Assault Vest, and then you have max hit point, max attack investment. That still goes a really long way on the Avalugg as you're taking less damage, and then you still have things like the Earthquake, Crunch, and whatever. So the coverage isn't going to be too much different, but let's go back to some damage calculations. Let's get talking about Sandslash some more to see what it can do. So Sandslash, with that Assault Vest, will be able to survive hits from Pokemon like Tapu Koko, Electric Terrain, Life Orb, Thunderbolt. Now, we will be 2-hit KO'd by this, so kind of showing that Sandslash is going to be a really good Pokemon to complement anti-sweeping. That Pokemon in the meta that just hit hard, hit fast, Sandslash gets rolled by them. It's either going to be like a super effective Earthquake, super effective Fire or Fighting kind of hit, 'cause there's a lot of Fire floating around right now. And with that 65 speed, a lot of different Pokemon are going to be outspeeding us, or tanky Pokemon are just going to be bulking up against us. Oh, 100 attack Pokemon. If you have a tankier Pokemon that has like full defensive investment going for Calm Mind, any Pokemon sustain, it's going to be a field day against that Sandslash, and then they can just outpace you on the stats right there. However, if you can get rid of what's in the meta, then Sandslash has an opportunity to do something. So as you can see right here, the Earthquake, that's a 2-hit KO. The Iron Head, that's a 2-hit KO. So we don't even need the Life Orb. We just do good enough damage against frail-ish Pokemon. So as long as it has like average defenses that are uninvested, yeah, we just hit it with Icicle Crash, 2-hit KO. Hit it with Iron Head, 2-hit KO. And then we're going to be a 3-hit KO in return against most Pokemon. Now, another really weird thing is the Ice Steel typing, it's smacked around by it, or it actually walls it out really well. So I was looking into something like, oh, what about a Water-type Pokemon? Because Water-type Pokemon going to hit us neutrally, and not many Pokemon are hitting us neutrally. Well, our Dual Stab is going to be resisted by Water. So that's a problem right there. I was looking into Dark-type Pokemon. Now, the weird thing about Dark-type Pokemon is there's usually a typing that goes with the Dark that's going to make it interesting for us. I was looking at, okay, what happens if we go up against Weavile? Well, Weavile's going to get hit super effective, so that just gets blown up by our Iron Head anyways. And then there's other ones like Tyranitar that just do more damage while also being a very defensive Pokemon. We still hit it super effective with the Iron Head, so we get into some really weird matchups. Water is going to resist us pretty well. So pretty much we have like a super effective matchup against that Pokemon, or you know, they just hit us for neutral damage, and then it's like a 2-hit KO versus a 2-hit KO, and whoever's faster wins. Because there's also different variances of speed when it comes to Dark typing, so all I gotta say is that it's crazy, but let's go and see what we can make out of it. So I pulled up Pokemon like Gengar. Gengar against the Assault Vest actually gets interesting, because a 130 special attacking Pokemon using just an average move like the Shadow Ball is not going to be able to reliably 2-hit KO. So as you can see right here, it's 50-ish% chance to 2-hit KO, and we 2-hit KO in return. So we don't have enough damage to just wipe out the Gengar, but with the Assault Vest, we can tank it up, and that works. So against certain sweeping Pokemon, we're gonna have the advantage. Against more powerful ones, or if it is a Specs Gengar, then here's the scenario. Gengar Shadow Balls, it survives the hit even without any investment whatsoever. Gengar Shadow Balls again, and it dies. So you need those sweepers that are frail enough to get 2-hit KO'd, but they kind of lack damage in some way. Maybe they're only a 100 base speed Pokemon, or maybe they're a faster Pokemon that only has like 100, 110 in the special attack, and then that's when you're going to be able to do something against it with the Assault Vest. And also, as you guys might have noticed, I've had Beartic chilling back here. Well, Beartic, it's a Slush Rush Pokemon that has more damage. Now, it will be slower. So 50 base speed on the Slush Rush means that we do not outspeed 135 base speed Pokemon, but we still outspeed the Tapu Koko. We still get the outspeeds against a majority of the cast. So with Sandslash, if you're just kind of going for that full speed investment, we're outspeeding some Scarf Pokemon, other higher end Pokemon, so we do have a bit more safety. But Beartic is going to get more out of the Life Orb. It's just going to have more damage overall, and its tankiness is oddly split. Now, Beartic has that split on defenses, so it's 95, 80, 80. Actually, above average for a defensive Pokemon right here, and we can just kind of look at the damage comparison. So, Splash Plate on the Wishy-Washy is going to be 61 to 72%, but that's where, like, the differences come into play, because Sandslash is going to take more special damage, but it's also going to take less physical damage, and it kind of balances out in a weird way. So let's go splash on the Splash Plate right here. And as you can see, the Scald starts getting scary and threatening, but the Waterfall, still a 2-hit KO, and it's going to be considerably less damage. Now, if we add this up, though, we can see that that's going to be like over 160%. This is going to be 140%. So, on average, Beartic's going to be tankier, doing more damage for slightly less speed under that Slush Rush. It does lose the Iron Head, like, Steel-type stab as well, so it kind of shows the comparisons. If you just want to go Ice, straight-up neutral damage, Beartic's going to be the option. If you want to have some more super effective options, then the Sandslash works, but remember, Beartic's going to be doing more damage off of an Earthquake, off of whatever other coverage it's running, and that's going to be better against special attacking Pokemon if we're running it like that, and Life Orb damage and whatever splits happen. Like, that's why I feel that Sandslash is a very complicated Pokemon. If it's in the right scenario, it'll find success, but it can easily find itself in the wrong scenario as well. So you guys, enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.